Welcome back, Duelists. Casual here. Today we are reviewing the second of our 3 decks from the Legendary Decks 2. We will be adding this deck to the draft. We're going to be adding the God cards as our first draftable cards. To where, like, not only can you pull a deck at random, but you will be able to open resealable boosters to find out what the rest of your deck is going to be. So, just real quick, I think we settled on green for the draft. Let's get these B-boys sleeved up. So these are playable versions of the gods. These are not like little giveaway replicas. These can be played in your duels. The goofy part about them is you will notice that these do say limited editions, basically because these guys are promos. But these are going to be our first 3 cards that can be drafted, since most decks play monsters. And we will leave the 3 gods as singular cards in the draft. For anybody who's curious, like, will you be putting more than one of each in there? Nope. In the show, they were one-ofs. So in our world, they're going to be one-ofs. Just like we're not going to really let Blue Eye... Well, I think we have to. There's a reason for that, but it is what it is. So this was the Yui Deck. Yui's deck was based on Exodia during this time period. And this is a really fun one. So among the cards, we get the legendary Exodia Incarnate, which is kind of crazy. Must be special summoned from the hand by attributing 1 forbidden monster and cannot be special summoned by other ways. Gains 1,000 for every forbidden 1 monster in grave. Unaffected by other card effects. Once per turn during the end phase, add a forbidden 1 from grave to hand. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, reveal any number of forbidden ones in your hand, and if you do, draw 1 card for each. It is essentially a way to try to turbo draw out Exodia. Yeah, it's kind of goofy. I love it. I love it, though. Ties of the Brethren, great card. Would be a card I would love to see in just regular draft as a card that we could pull. Obliterate, because again, you know, Konami does this thing where, like, cards have to have their attacks somewhere in the game. And it's not the same. It's the same with the Blue Eyes. You saw the Burst Stream of Destruction. We both know that the Dark Magician gets the Dark Magic Attack card. Red Eyes gets the Inferno Fire Blast. And D-Mage Girl had her Dark Burning attack right there. So, it's just kind of par for the course. Has a cool effect. It's not Exodia deck if you can't play Exodia. So you got to get the whole Exodia. We get this cool card. We get Exodia Necros. Great card. And again, he has some power scaling issues. D-Mage and Girl, because again, this is Yugi. Buster Blader, gotta have it. Silent Magician, level 4 and 8. Great pickup here. You got Tricky. Tricky's a great card. Tricky's a good, solid monster card. And I don't know. He's just fun tech, and I used to play him a lot. Big Shield Gardner. I remember when this guy was, like, super expensive. He was an ultra rare. Magician's Valkyria. Blast Magician, great card. Blockman. Seriously, we have Legos in Yu-Gi-Oh! We have Marshmallow because it's awesome. We have Sangan because, you know, searchability. I do think it's important to note that they have the errata on this, the newer errata. So when sent from field grave, add monster 1,500 or less from deck to hand, but cannot activate cards or effects of cards with that name for the rest of this turn. I'm not 100% sure, okay? But I think if you play Sangan and you grab the head of Exodia and it's the last piece, I don't know if it stops you from winning that turn or if it's not an activated effect. I need to do a little bit of research before we get this guy and actually play this deck. But yeah, we got the Gold Sarko because, again, good stuff. And maybe now you guys will note, maybe it's easier to see. It is the pattern off the gold sarcophagus all the way out to the edges. You can see right here on the right, you can see this little edge mark right here. And yeah, they abbreviated it because the box isn't any longer, and it would have made sense if they'd have squished the rest of the image. I don't know. But that is cool to take note of. So, for those of you looking for cool stuff. Swords, great card for this because, again, if you're playing Exodia, they give you a couple different methods of playing it. When we go to add this to the draft, this means there are some cards in here like Blast Magician. You'll probably take him out. You'll draft him out for something with a big defense. Swords is good. Magical Dimension's kind of good. That's the other thing. This deck could also just get aggressive. You could play like a semi-dark magician build. Unite, Tricky 4, Thousand Knives, Dark Magic Attack. Again, if you're going to go playing in the draft and you want to like sort of eliminate the Dark Magician, play more into the Exodia, these are easy cards to drop. Contract with Exodia, you're going to need this for Necros, Messenger of Peace, Dark Factory of Mass Production, good stuff, Reincarnation, Secret Village of Spellcasters. Now this is still like a very good card. So in 2024, buying this, I would not buy it just for this, but this is another very excellent reason why like this deck, this box has some value. Because this is great for any of those spellcaster controls. If you control spellcaster type and your opponent does not, your opponent cannot activate spell cards. If you control no spellcasters, you can't activate spell cards. So it's this really cool double-edged sword. And it just works out. It has a bit of a controlled tempo, and regardless of which way you go with this deck, if you go more Dark Magician, then you go more Dark Magician. If you go more Exodia, still spellcasters. So it's good stuff. Duality, great card. Mirror Force, great card. Magical Hats, Magic Cylinder, Magician's Circle, Backup Soldier. I remember this from like Pharaoh's Servant. While you have 5 or more monsters, target up to 3 non-effects with 1,500 or less, add them back to the hand. If you had a way to get all your Exodia pieces tossed out of the deck, this would be a great way to just surplus toss them back into your hand. Very similar to the Factory of the Dark Factory of Master Production. Just allowing you to get stuff back. Gravity Bind, great card. And then, of course, we're going to have our ultra rare Yugi token with his Dark Magician. So that's not too bad. So, again, this deck kind of struggles. This deck wants to be a defensive deck because you got things like Mirror Force, Cylinder, Gravity Bind. You've also got the ability to cap off your opponent's special summoning. Take away their attacks with Messenger of Peace. You got things like the Swords of Revealing Light, Gold Sarko. And then you got a lot of defensive stuff. And it's basically, they just kind of reprinted a whole bunch of Yugi in here and made it a very hard tech deck to play. I will note that this one does not have an extra deck. There was not a single mod, so like there was almost no reason for them to include Buster Blader. If you're not going to give us the Dark Paladin, don't do that. Don't do that. All you did was take up card space. So this one's probably going to have a tougher time in the draft. But again, you could play this 2 different ways. You could pull out certain aspects of the deck. And you could either play towards Dark Magician or you could play towards Exodia. Now, I would choose the Exodia route because it's more fun. There's more cards suited to it. And again, I've got no problem. I'll build you guys a 3 times build for this. Because again, technically this is sort of like a release in 2024, but it's just a re-release from 2016. And it's going to be good. I'm going to make you guys a good deck. We'll do a 3-time structure. And you know what? I don't know if you guys have messaged yet about me getting Bandit and Celestial in on this. But maybe each of us will play one of these as the 3 times builds, and then we'll just have ourselves like a little miniature tournament. So we'll just do like a little round robin type deal. Everybody plays everything a couple of times and just has some fun. So if that's what you want, you let us know. This deck is now going to enter the draft. This is going to be our Exodia build. So again, this is cool. We got this. We got Blue Eyes. Obviously, tomorrow we're going to do Red Eyes. So till then, you guys have an excellent day, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.